your nation station across the country.
Ramadan is a blessed month that brings us close to Allah, brings us close to ourselves, brings us close to our families, brings us close to our communities. Allow us this Ramadan to take you through a special journey that will bring you as close as ever to your reality. Join Hatem Al Abdussalam with engineer Muhammad Farouk in Come Close.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. All praise be to Allah, the Master of the Day of Judgment. And peace and blessings be upon our beloved Messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to yet another episode of your program, Come Close, in this blessed month of Ramadan. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept your fasting, your prayers, your good deeds and your supplications, and do not forget your brothers Muhammad Farouk and Hatem Al Abdussalam in your prayers. Today, inshallah, we're continuing our program with a new topic, inshallah. As yesterday we have completed the series of the 4 topics in regards to marriage. So today we're starting something which is very close to marriage. Today we are talking about the in-laws. And before we start the discussion, I would like to remind our listeners that this is a live show. You can call us on our open lines 24 60 20 58, 24 60 20 58, and the show is going to be repeated in the evening from 9 till 10 and repeated tomorrow inshallah at Fajr time from 5 till 6. For those who have missed the previous episodes, you can find all our episodes on our YouTube channel called Guidance. So tune in on our YouTube and find out all about the show, inshallah. Muhammad, salam alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you today?
I'm wonderful.
Alhamdulillah. Ready for the weekend?
Oh, definitely. Looking forward to it.
It is the second weekend in Ramadan. And everyone is so excited, ready for the weekend, and just take it easy.
Exactly.
Alhamdulillah. How was Ramadan so far?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's very peaceful. It's very quiet. It's going very fast.
Do you have iftar at home or do you go to your in-laws?
No, my in-laws, bless their hearts, they're very far away.
They're very far away, yeah. MashaAllah.
So we can have iftar with them through, WhatsApp or email, but, face to face, we can't give them FaceTime, unfortunately.
Alhamdulillah. I think the month of Ramadan is a very good opportunity for us to create that bond again with our in-laws as we break the fast with our parents, and sometimes we break a fast with our in-laws. And it is a time for love and compassion and understanding and opening a new page. The stigma, Muhammad, that is there in our societies, and this stigma was built by media, unfortunately, that the in-laws are always evil, and they don't want the interest of the couple, and they always interfere with the business of the couple. I don't say that there are no cases that this happens. It does happen, but it is not the majority. Most of the in-laws are very sweet people, the same as our parents, and they are someone else's parent as well, and they're very understanding, kind. They don't interfere with people's business. So this misconception needs to be changed, and we need to educate the community on the importance of respecting and caring and cherishing the in-laws the same way we respect our own parents.
Exactly. See, there are a couple of things at play over here. First of all, this is a deliberate attempt at breaking up the family system, the immediate family system. Now there are a lot of attempts to break up the extended family system as well. So, you can blame this on consumerism or, being more materialistic and less spiritual. But this is happening across the board in all cultures and all the countries. And sometimes we see very sad videos of how the elderlies are treated in some countries in the world. And the phenomena of old homes is taken very lightly. It's common. This was never like this.
Yes.
So the single unit of a society is family, and if you can somehow injure it, then most probably the next generation would be less functional compared to the current and the previous generation.
Yes.
Okay, so, and from a consumerism point of view, if you get to separate everyone, like in the old days, aunties, uncles, and their children, and they were all connected by grandparents, they used to have some kind of proximity, if not living in the same house, then at least living nearby in a neighborhood or next door, so to speak. Now we see the blood families are scattered far and beyond.
Yes.
Okay, so when somebody mentions the word in-laws, generally the definition that comes to our mind is like the father or mother of your better half.
Yes.
I didn't say bitter half. Okay.
You wanted to say your bitter half. I'm going to get you into trouble, Muhammad.
No comments. So the thing is, but it applies to the extended family. So it could be the uncles, the aunties, the brothers and sisters of the parents and what have you. And in a lot of cases, they can help the family a lot, like the husband and wife. But in some cases, they can hurt as well. Now, before we move on, I want to clear one thing. Let's not say they're evil, but they love the children too much. And in their eyes, you're still children. It don't matter how old you are.
Yes.
And a lot of the times, they do things to you which are unintentional, but the results are less than perfect.
We can say both. Sometimes they are unintentional and sometimes they are intentional.
Oh, yeah.
In some cases, in some minor cases.
Yeah, because see, every case is unique. So it's tough for us to sit here and say, oh, this is how things are and this is how things are supposed to be. There's a lot of research, there are observations, there are experiences. So whatever we're talking over here is a combination of all of the above.
Yes.
Okay. So the thing is, mothers can even be jealous of their daughters. Just like they can be jealous of their co-wives.
Yes.
This is a reality. We're not making this up. So,
stepdaughters, you mean in-laws?
Yeah.
The wife of the son.
Exactly. So the thing is that we have to be fairly careful when we address this topic. Now, these kind of circumstances, they can be very hard on both spouses, or it can be a trial for just one of them.
Muhammad, when it comes to the topic of in-laws, it starts from the beginning when the man wants to pick a wife. So he's faced by two dilemmas. Mm-hmm. The first one is, should I allow my mother to pick the bride for me so that and then she will get along with my wife? Or should I pick my own wife and, out of my own choice? And face the music and suffer the consequences of the clash between the two. But the thing that I want to say is that is not always the case. So
exactly.
If your mother picks your wife, it doesn't mean that nothing's going to happen.
Exactly. But it becomes easier to blame your mother.
Yeah, sort of.
No, I'll tell you, I've seen cases where the ladies have picked up the daughters.
Mm-hmm. The mothers have.
Yeah, the mothers have picked up the girl for the son.
Okay.
And later on it has turned into be in a battlefield.
Mm.
Okay. So my take on this thing is that you don't let her pick the girl. You let her recommend a girl. Because let's face reality, at the end of the day, you're going to end up spending time with her, not your mother.
Yes.
Okay. And plus, you can't blame your mother if something goes wrong, God forbid.
Yes, definitely. And at the end of the day, your mother sees the qualities of a woman in a different way, mm-hmm. and you see it in a totally different way.
It's so about your tastes and choices.
Your taste in a wife mm-hmm. is totally different than your mother.
Exactly.
Some of them think that it's part of honoring our mothers mm-hmm. is to allow them to pick the wives for us. So, but you said a very important thing. Don't allow them to pick the wife for you, but allow them to recommend.
Exactly.
And even if you pick your own wife, seek mashura, seek advice
Definitely.
From your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they know better than us. They have more wisdom. They have more experience.
Yes.
Maybe they know that something about that family that you are not aware of. You only see the beauty in high heels, but you don't know the background of the story and the history of that family.
Exactly.
So seek the advice
Yeah,
of your
don't
parents.
exclude them from the process.
Don't exclude
Yeah.
them. Absolutely.
Okay. So when we talk about parents-in-law, there are basically 4 combination, like mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. That's commonly we hear Mil and Dil. So Mil is not short for military,
Yeah.
even though sometimes that is the case.
Yeah.
And Dil, or it's not Dil in Urdu as in heart, but Dil as in daughter-in-law.
Yes.
And then you have father-in-law, daughter-in-law. That's Phil and Dil, and then mother-in-law and son-in-law, and father-in-law and son-in-law. These are the 4 combinations that you generally look at. The most one that you see highlighted in the media, in soap operas, in real world,
Yes.
is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law.
I think that the other 3 relationship, it's very rare to find a problem or a story behind it, which is the father-in-law and the daughter-in-law, and what's the next one? The brother-in-law and sister-in-law.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't think there's many issues in that area.
Exactly.
What is the third one?
This one is mother-in-law, daughter-in-law. The other one is father-in-law, daughter-in-law.
Yeah, even that I don't see that there is an issue.
Rarely, but there is, depending on the culture.
Okay.
There is, and then you have the mother-in-law, son-in-law. Okay. And then you have the father-in-law and son-in-law. So father-in-law and son-in-law is basically like the least one, you can say.
The least
generally.
one, yes.
But the most one is mother-in-law and daughter-in-law.
Yes.
This combination gets a lot of attention. And see, we have to look at it. There are generally 2 scenarios, and this is across all cultures and all nations. One is, you live with an extended family, because in a lot of cultures, the sons, they take care of their parents, especially as they age. And the other one is that you just live separately, but you visit your in-laws on both sides, on your wife's side and on your husband's side. And if you're nearby, generally what I see here is a lot of my Omani friends, they have this weekly practice.
They go and have lunch.
Yeah, once a week they get together.
1 week or 1 day, let's say Friday with their parents,
Exactly.
and Saturday with the parents of the wife.
Exactly. And in our case, where we are like, hours of flight time away from our parents, so we try to touch base with them, let's say 2-3 times a day.
Okay.
And it's all about what kind of a rapport you set with them, because it's going to impact your romantic life. If you give respect to your in-laws, especially the mother and father of your wife, there is no way that your wife is not going to notice that, and she's going to not appreciate it. And she'll hold you in high honor and show her love and respect for you and your parents.
Let me give you a tip, Muhammad, that I used to practice when my in-laws were alive, is praising your wife in front of your in-laws. That makes a huge difference.
Awesome.
Because they become very happy and very honored that they have raised their daughter in a very good way, and that you are pleased with their daughter. So if you have this practice of praising your wife in front of her parents, it's a very noble thing to do, and it's the highest level of respect that you could give to your in-laws and to give your wife as well. So dear brothers out there, I already gave you the tip. You know what to do today, huh?
Exactly. There you go, man.
Okay, let us remind our listeners who have just joined us that this is a live show. Come close. And the show is run by me and brother Muhammad Farooq. The lines are open. You can call us and tell us stories of your in-laws, and I promise you will not get into trouble. The number to call is 24 60 20 58, 24 60 20 58, and let us create a community that is so loving and so generous to one another and so respectable to our in-laws. So please share your stories and do give us a call.
Yeah, they won't get into trouble as long as the in-laws don't find out the radio show.
I don't know why they're terrified. They're not calling. We promise you we won't mention your names in front of your in-laws.
They must have signed a non-disclosure agreement, NDA somewhere. So here's an interesting piece of research, and we'll try to revolve around this thing, and then because the rest of the program, in which direction it goes and the amount of time we spend on what kind of content depends on this. Research tells us when a man has a close relationship with his wife's parents, then the couple's risk of divorce decreases by 20%. Okay.
MashaAllah.
But for the women, it's the other way around. If they have a close relationship with your parents, their their risk rate increases by 20%.
Really?
Yeah.
Who did this research, Muhammad?
So quite extensive.
Where you getting it from?
No, wait a minute. But check out the reasons they gave. They say
Yeah.
that the men they tend to identify themselves first as the provider,
Okay.
and second as a father and a husband.
Yes.
But in case of women, they are the homemakers. So the
Meaning-
minute
Mm.
mother-in-law or father-in-law tells them, why don't you cook this, or if you do this, the food would be like this, or why
Instructions, you
or
mean?
why don't you raise your children like this? Look, they're behaving like this.
Yes.
Or why don't you take care of the husband like this? Immediately they feel a direct threat,
So the
and a direct threat at their
the defensive mode kicks in.
kicks in.
Automatically.
Exactly. So this is an interesting piece of advice, and you can take it on face value, or but most probably this fact can end up saving your
So
your
in
marriage.
this area, what can we advise our in-laws, our respected in-laws, the father and the mother of the bride,
Uh-huh.
the husband or the wife,
Uh-huh.
in terms of how to
Okay.
deal with the wife?
See, one of the things is that if they see an area of improvement,
Mhm.
they should quietly talk to the guy, to their son.
To their son.
Yeah, and tell him, why don't you tell her,
So-
we have noticed this.
So
just-
if it comes from the husband,
It's better.
It's better.
Yeah,
it's more
it's-
acceptable to
Yeah,
the wife.
Exactly.
And especially when the husband says it in a way not indicating that this comment came from my parents.
Exactly. So this could be a amazing way forward and save a lot of pain for.
And I think
both sides.
also parents, with all due respect, they have had their term in raising children and doing things in a certain way. I think they should allow a little bit of space to their children also to experiment
Exactly.
and learn through the challenges of life
Exactly.
how to raise their kid so they should not really interfere in every single thing.
Exactly.
Give them that space.
Yeah, let them
Even if
learn.
they make mistakes,
problem.
you can observe from a distance,
Mhm.
and as you said, you can advise your son,
Mhm.
and maybe if he wishes to communicate this advice to his wife, it's up to him.
Maybe it's not even bothering him.
Yes.
Whatever that
Yes.
you have brought up. The other thing you would notice is parents who are educated and whose hobby is reading, they generally don't interfere too much in their kids' lives.
Yes.
But parents who have been fed and they have grown up on soap operas and
Mm.
TV serials and movies at the cinema, okay, intentionally or unintentionally, every single move you and your wife makes will be registered on their radar.
Hmm.
And they will be compelled to either advise you, whether you ask for it or not,
Yes.
or make a comment.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a difference I've noticed, and I would like to urge all the listeners, while you're young, try to make a habit of reading, even if it's one page of any book you like a day. Because first, your children will see, and this habit will be instilled in them.
Hmm.
And second thing, when you grow old, you won't feel alone. You won't feel budding in everybody else's life and trying to give advice to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, whether they appreciate it or not, whether they want it or not. You'll be busy with your books.
I also want to comment about something is for the wives or the husbands in general. When you get these comments from the in-laws, do not be offended.
Exactly. Don't be
And
defensive.
and the reason why I'm telling you this is that it is a natural phenomenon that every generation thinks the next generation coming is a useless generation in the way they do things.
And every
So-
next generation feels that their
The same
parents
thing,
don't know
yeah.
anything.
So my parents, they always used to tell me that, I don't know what's wrong with your generation.
Yeah, we used to be like this.
We used to be
that.
like this and you're like this. And when it comes to raising our children, they always criticize that, you don't know how to raise children.
Exactly.
And for sure, we will be telling our sons and daughters that you don't know how to raise
Yeah,
children.
yeah.
So let's just back up a little bit and, enjoy
The good.
the journey
In the
of your children,
yeah.
for them to experience the same way you have experienced. And your generation was a good generation for that time. This generation is good for this time.
Exactly.
So everyone has their own time.
Exactly. So let's quickly look at some of the few reasons that, they say the reasons why parents-in-law or in-laws, if you want to call them, don't play very well, don't get along very well with the children.
Can you add some in-laws?
Yeah, okay, some laws, yeah.
Some in-laws.
Some in-laws, not most, some in-laws,
Yes.
okay. And see, the thing is, we are all humans, and we are different in terms of our attitudes, our behaviors, our preferences, our reasoning capabilities, our religious understanding, affiliation, and commitment.
Yes.
Even brothers have disagreements and arguments. Okay.
Which is a natural thing.
Exactly. So on top of that, you add the generation gap.
Yes.
So this is bound to create some kind of a friction. The other thing you will know is that as they grow old, not all of them, most of them, or some of them, they start to lose patience, and they start to develop a lot of childlike behaviors, which fall in the realm of emotions and not being rational.
Yes.
So yes, they are wise,
and
but
they react quickly.
Exactly, and they jump to conclusions quickly as well. The other thing is, and again, look, I'm not trying to pick on a particular set of people in this equation.
Yes.
But generally, this is what we see. Mother-in-laws, often they feel a lot of jealous of daughter-in-laws. Okay, and vice versa, to the point that it's something like the way they would be jealous of another wife. So the other lady in the picture, she needs to understand this thing. It's a push and pull kind of a relationship. Both sides have to see where the scale is tilting and then adjust accordingly.
And I think most of the time the husbands are caught in the middle.
Yeah.
They don't know how to balance between pleasing their mothers or pleasing their wives.
And they get fire from both
yes,
sides.
Especially when they are in dispute.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you get a comment from your mother about your wife. You wouldn't like that comment, and you wouldn't say that my mother is not saying the truth. And you would go, and this is the critical area, when you go and react immediately to what you have heard without confirming. Is it the way it
valid
happened,
or not? Yeah.
or it is a different story? Because most of the time you might get the comment from your mother, but maybe she understood it in a very wrong way, and that was not the case. So you need to go and speak kindly and nicely to your wife and clarify this matter and not be hard on her.
Exactly.
At the same time, you would find comments from your wife against your mother, while you can't really do much when it comes to your mother. You cannot, scream or yell at your mother. You cannot question her. You can't do anything. So that area is sort of sacred in somehow, where the hands of the man are very tied. So the wife needs to understand that, okay, although my husband understands that there is an issue or a problem with his mother, but I have to understand also very clearly that my husband can't do anything about it. He can't go and get into a fight with his mother. That wouldn't be right. So as long as you and your husband are in a total understanding and agreement in this, you will just have to be patient.
Exactly. I agree. So as a matter of fact, that's the first word over here. That's sabr and salah. So, prayer and patience and wisdom, supplication and communication. And what we'll do now, because we're almost halfway into the program, we'll try to look at some of the advices that both the husband and wife can use in order to have a healthy household for themselves, for their children, and even for their in-laws.
Okay.
All right. So first thing is that you get to know them. Okay.
Your in-laws.
Exactly. Maybe there's a lot of common ground and you become really good friends. So
and maybe, Muhammad, before you getting married, get to know the in-laws and ask about them, because most of the time we are a very small community. Everybody knows everybody.
Knows each other. Yeah.
So if you decide to get married into a family, or you got a proposal, if you're a woman, you got a proposal from a man, seek advice of other families and ask them about his parents
Exactly.
or her parents,
Yeah,
and
no
find
harm in
out
it.
what sort of people they are. Are they good people? Are they troublemakers? At least you'll have a good
Exactly,
picture.
Exactly. So the way you get to know them is, you can spend some quality time together. Don't just wait for Eid or some special occasion, and you try to do like some cooking together and get to know each other outside of the living room in some environment, like you're at the park or you're at the shopping mall, or where they won't judge you that much and you won't do the same thing. So it's more of a friend's environment, not like an interview that we're sitting next to each other and she's thinking, what is she thinking about, and then she's saying, what is she going to say. So this creates barriers.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing is that you get to know your limits. Yes, we do understand they are your husband or wife's parents. However, there are things which are private between you and your husband, and between you and your husband, or if you're a husband, between you and your wife.
Yes.
Okay.
So the parents have to know the limit.
Yeah, parents have to know the limits, and you also have to know the limit. Absolutely. I see some people, every single thing they'll go and they'll tell their parents. I don't know why. And you find them most of the time on the phone, and now thanks to these so-called free apps,
Yeah.
they're always, every single day's debrief, they have to give it to their parents.
It sounds like a military, man.
Really,
giving the general
exactly. I don't see
the briefing of the day.
I don't see what value that adds. Like in my case, if I have an issue, I'll call them and I'll say, well, I need your advice on this and this.
Yes.
And generally call them, are you okay? How's everything? How's Ramadan going? Are things okay? And same thing. But I don't call them and debrief them about every single thing that happened at the office or in the home and with the kids.
Yes.
And some people, they do. Okay. So the less you talk, the better it is. By the way, this principle is general in life anyways, just not just in this scenario. The other thing is maintain a careful distance. Don't become too sweet and don't just spit them out. Balance is the key. So you listen to their advice, but you use your own mind as well. You don't just take their advice blindly, and you just don't shut down that whatever they say, they don't know what they're talking about.
I think you have to, especially for women, they have to have a personality when it comes to this marriage, a character. So, okay, you would be obedient to your husband and his family, but at the same time, you should have a say.
Exactly.
You should have a say in certain issues, especially when it comes to your children, because at the end of the day, they are your children before them being the grandchildren of your in-laws. So you have the right more than your in-laws in the way you want to raise your children. So
exactly.
You need to have a say.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, it will be appreciated. You don't have to just sit and nod your head on everything, even if you know that that's detrimental or it's less than an expert advice. Don't feel compelled to say yes to everything. Okay. The other thing is keep things cordial, meaning don't insult your in-laws even behind their back. Even if your spouse complains about their parents, don't say, oh yeah, I noticed that too. This is exactly how they are. And, it's going to backfire down the line. Trust me. Yes. The minute he or she is angry, even after a year, they will remember that part. Oh yeah, you said my mom was like that, or you said my dad was like that. So, that's not a healthy thing to do. The other one is put your relationship first. Invest in your relationship and defend it against any kind of external threats.
So you mean invest in your relationship first, the relationship with your husband?
Yeah, exactly.
Or
your wife.
If that relationship is strong, then
exactly,
automatically, gradually, you would move into a better relationship with your in-laws.
Because if you have a very good trust relationship and there is transparency, if anybody would come and say something, you will have an opinion of the other spouse that, okay, if she's saying there is some matter into it, or if he's saying he must be right, instead of having a very low opinion about the others, and then you will hear things like, oh, he let his mother walk all over me. Yes. Or she never stands up to her father or stands up for me. Okay, so to avoid these things, you guys should have planted deep levels of confidence into each other. All right.
Okay, Muhammad, let us take a short coffee break without coffee.
There you go.
And see you back after the break.
Coffee-less coffee break. I like that.
Close with me, Hatem Al Abdus Salam, and joining me is Engineer Muhammad Farooq. And today we're talking about the in-laws. This is a live show. You can call us on our open lines 2460 2058, 2460 2058, and the show is going to be repeated in the evening from 9 till 10 and repeated tomorrow inshallah from 5 till 6 Fajr time. For those who have missed all the episodes, the previous episodes, you will find them on our YouTube channel called Guidance. Where were we, Muhammad?
Okay, first part we covered general advice for both husband and wife.
Yes.
Now we'll drill down a little bit further and make it separate points for our brothers and separate points for our sisters.
Okay.
So let's start with brothers.
Okay, let's start with the brothers.
Okay. Because
just hold on. Dear brothers, let go of everything you're doing now and pay attention.
Yeah, seriously, this could end up saving your marriage, as an extreme case, save you a lot of headache,
Unless you intentionally want to end your marriage.
Oh, man, may Allah save us all from that.
Okay, shoot.
All right. See, first of all, the brothers need to be a little bit considerate and look at the situation.
Okay.
There's this girl who's been in a household for 19, 20, 22, 25 years, whatever that might be. Now, all of a sudden, she's pulling the plug, leaving that household where she was used to seeing her mom and dad daily, live with them, and come to a new household where she is
a total stranger.
With a total stranger, and she's expected to adjust and and support and be responsible for that household.
And not only adjust with the husband, adjust with the entire family of the husband.
With the whole family, okay? So just look at the huge task that she has. So please support her instead of criticizing her. And generally we see two modes. One, where the wife comes and joins the husband, and it's an extended family. So at least the mom and dad are living with the son. Yeah, with them, yeah. The other one is where she joins him in a separate accommodation. And, parents could be next door, they could be in another city, they could be in the same neighborhood or what have you. I prefer, and we discussed this before also,
yes,
I prefer that they should live separate for at least X number of years. Okay?
To get to know one another.
To get to know one another, to get close to each other, to enjoy the privacy, to learn about each other, okay, to learn to read the body language and, face of each other without interference.
Yes.
So, this is the kind of thing that we're looking at. So, moving on with the same thing, that I prefer that they live separate. The wife does not have to obey anyone in her laws as per Sharia. Okay. Now, I'm talking about extreme cases here, where, as an example, the husband will say, no, you must obey my mother, even if she's not fair.
Yes.
I've seen this happen a number of times in front of me. And I've seen those girls to be extremely miserable, but, they're submive, not from their heart, but at least from...
So they are not required to obey that instruction.
Exactly. If they do it in those matters where they are advising her about what is right and wrong as per Quran and Sunnah, then she has to take the advice from anyone, from in-laws, from her husband, from her parents, even from strangers.
Which is something good for her.
Yeah, it's good for everybody, for her and for the surroundings.
Yes.
But... if they tell her you have to cook like this and you have to do cleaning on these days and why you're raising the kids like this, you have to do like that, she doesn't have to
listen.
Yeah. Okay, so the brothers, for them this might be the first time they're hearing this. A lot of brothers, not all, but guys, this is reality. You want to have a healthy, happy home, this is the way forward. The other thing, the wife does not have to live with your parents. Let me repeat this.
It's not a must.
The wife does not have to live with your parents. And by the way, I strongly recommend that these points be discussed before tying the knot.
Yes.
Spare everybody a lot of misery.
Agree on them.
Exactly.
But the husband can say in the beginning, in the proposal, that what, I can't afford to open a home, and you will the case that is there in front of us is that we will have to live with my parents for a few months. So it has to be a mutual agreement between him and the bride that, okay, I don't mind if we live with your parents for 6 months until you're able to find our own place. So it has to be a mutual understanding and not an imposing order.
Yeah, exactly. See, there should be some kind of a barrier, if this is the proper word. They could be in the confines of the same four walls, but it would be what we call separate quarters.
Yes.
So privacy is there, and it's a big thing. They can get together and eat together, and they can spend some free time together, or they can, I don't know, watch something productive on TV together.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the homes should be semi-segregated at a minimum.
Because the home is the territory of the woman,
Exactly.
and she wants to be free in the house. She wants to decorate the house in particular way, and to have her own freedom. Sometimes when you live with your parents, you have brothers as well. So it means that your wife has to be covered throughout the day.
Yeah, there's a very strong hadith about this. I'm glad you mentioned that. We'll continue from what you're saying. Beware of entering upon women. Prophet, peace be upon him, said.
Yes.
A man from among the Ansar said, what about the in-laws? The Prophet ﷺ said, in-laws is death.
Subhanallah.
So here he is referring to the relatives of the husband apart from the mahrams, like
parents.
the father, the grandfather, the sons and the great-sons.
Yes.
Unfortunately, at least in the part of the world where I come from, this is totally neglected. This is just people.
They don't respect the privacy of the woman,
exactly,
of the wife. So the brothers might be in the house.
Exactly.
And
they'll say, oh, he's just my brother. It's okay. No, it's not.
He's like
okay.
my brother.
He's like my brother, or he is my brother.
While he's not your brother.
Yeah. So that's not right. I mean, we really need to have, we need to take strong stock of this thing.
Okay.
Okay. The next one is the wife does not have to serve the in-laws and parents. That's the boy's responsibility to serve the parents.
His parents.
Yeah. If you look at the hadiths and the teachings, you are responsible. They say that if somebody finds their parents to be old, one or both of them, and he doesn't attain paradise through serving them, then, curse on them. Yeah?
Yes.
It doesn't say serving them through their wife.
No,
or
it's
serving
your
them through their
responsibility
husband.
to
Exactly.
serve your parents.
So don't outsource this, okay?
And
Step
if
out,
the
be a
wife,
man and do it.
if the wife wishes out of her own goodness
Exactly.
to serve them, then she gets a reward for it.
Exactly.
And automatically a good wife will support her husband in this noble deed.
Exactly. The other one is the wife has a right to her privacy just like you have a right on your privacy. So don't go to your parents and just tell them everything good, bad, ugly that has happened between you. Especially something intimate.
Especially the intimate part of of the bedroom.
Of the relationship. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So, totally avoid this thing. The other thing is she does not have to ask their permission to go see her parents. Yes, she has to ask your permission. And again, be a nice man and give her the permission.
Yeah, and then I don't see in today's world, Muhammad, in the 21st century, why should we stick to the rigid rules of
culture,
being like a dictatorship?
Exactly.
So your wife is responsible, she's adult, you trust her, she can go out as long as you know where she is. That's it. It shouldn't be like a military where you need to ask permission for everything.
Exactly.
So I think this is an understanding between the husband and the wife.
Right.
You know that my wife goes to her parents, she goes to the school, she goes to the shop, and that's okay as long as you know.
Exactly.
But she doesn't have to literally apply for permission for her to leave the house.
Raise her hand and get approval.
Yeah, I don't think that is right.
Exactly. So here again, the thing is, you have to put yourself in her shoes. Just imagine if somebody was doing all these things to you, forcing you to serve someone else, and then not just serve the parents, but the extended family. Cook for them and clean for them and take care of them, and then listen to all the rotten
every
comments.
weekend the entire family is having lunch at your house.
There you go.
And the wife has to prepare food for 20 people.
Exactly. See, so what we have noticed is that in the last one generation, there has been a tremendous change. While some change has been extremely negative, but there has been a lot of positive change as well. Previously, generation after generation, it was almost the same mode of operation.
Yes.
And a lot has to do, and we've mentioned it in the previous series as well, there are a lot of women don't know their rights. So if they don't know their rights, how they can sit quietly with their husband and say, look, my dear, you said this, here's the deal. This is what Allah says. This is what Muhammad ﷺ says. These are rights given to me by our Creator. Think about it. Look what you're doing. But they don't know their rights. And on top of that, a lot of the brothers don't know their rights. Or if they do, they won't share it with them.
Yes.
So this is abuse. This is clear abuse. Okay. So, this is, we have covered good ground over here.
For the brothers.
For the brother side. And now we move to the sister side. Yeah. So
okay. Give us the good news.
The good news. There you go. So, as far as the sisters are concerned, they need to, again, first evaluate the situation. that the lady gave birth to this man
The mother.
who's your husband now.
Okay.
She went through a lot of pain for him.
If it wasn't for his parents, he
Yeah,
wouldn't be here today.
He would not have turned out to be a wonderful man that you so cherish to be with.
You got
Okay.
the end result.
You got the end result. So, they toiled and, it's their blood and sweat, literally.
Yes.
And she went through tough and good times with him for 20, 25 years, whatever that might be. And then all of a sudden, you walk into their lives. So, it's natural that they will feel that something is being taken away from them or will be taken away from them.
Yes.
Okay, so just think about that, and also keep in your mind that the closest way to get to your husband's heart is through respecting his parents.
Okay, we have a call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Brother Ahmed?
I'm good. How are you doing, Dad?
Alhamdulillah
We're
Rabbil
wonderful.
Alameen.
How's fasting?
Good. Fasting is good. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We missed.
Almost 1/3 is gone.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. We missed you yesterday.
I know. I was trying to call, but I guess,
They
there
couldn't get
was a
through.
problem with the line.
Ah, okay. So today we're talking about the
Okay.
in-laws, Ahmed. So tell us. I think you're newlywed. It's been maybe 2 years or 3 years since you're married, so you're relatively new.
Actually, a little more. I don't have a lot of experience like you.
Okay, so tell me.
Or like Muhammad.
What
You have a lot
do
of
you?
experience.
Yeah, we have. Man, you make us sound like old, man. Come on.
No. I just, you started the whole thing earlier than I did.
Alhamdulillah. So tell us, what do you have to share with us today?
I really appreciate you educating women about their rights and what they have to know about this relationship, okay, and what to expect and so on. But at the same time, we are facing a new kind of invasion, to be honest, into the Islamic culture, which is the impact of the Western culture, where they try to empower women, which is not a bad thing. I'm not saying, we should empower women.
Yes.
But I feel that it goes to the other extreme, where it gives people, or women in this case, more than they should get, if you want to put it that way.
You'll have to give us examples,
in a way
Ahmed.
that it turns to be, a kind of oppression for the men as well. We need to have this kind of balance also. We don't want to give people, either women or men, more than they deserve, okay, or what they should get. And we need to be very careful about, these kind of calls nowadays about, women's rights and so on. And we take a model which does not fit the religious teaching. I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, but I'm not trying to say, we should not give women rights. But at the same time, we have to be very careful about this kind of Western view, if you want to call it, that it tries to propagate that women are oppressed and we need to give them a freedom, and which is the truth to some extent. But at the same time, we have to be very careful when it comes to striking that balance between all men's rights and women's rights.
Yeah, see.
So we don't want to go to that direction where we just feel that, there's one group is more oppressed than the other one. But we need to make sure that both the groups are getting their rights.
Exactly.
Okay, without any problem.
Wonderful. I appreciate that, Ahmed. If I can elaborate a little bit on it. See, the rights of women were given to them by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yes.
So we don't have to give them their rights. We just have to implement
I
them.
think, I'll let you continue. I have a problem hearing you clearly.
Okay.
Okay.
No
okay,
problem.
Ahmed.
Thanks.
Thanks, Ahmed.
So,
Take it easy.
all right.
All right.
Just to continue on the same frame, the rights given to men and women are by God Almighty. It's just a matter of implementing them.
Yes.
And the important thing is, if we can segregate culture from religion, things would be all right. And the proof of that is that a lot of ladies who revert to Islam, they come through reading. If they see us in our culture, I think a lot of them would be repulsed. And some of them, they tell us that initially, we were really confused and, put off by what we saw in the media, what we saw some Muslims do. But when we read the scripture, that made us realize that how big Islam is on women's right.
Yes, so the culture takes over the religion aspect, and that's what we see today in our communities, where people think that culture comes first before even religion.
Exactly.
That's why educating them, women and men, in their rights, in regards to their rights, it's very important.
Exactly.
Continue, Muhammad, as we have only a few minutes to end the show.
Yeah, in terms of the advice to sisters is that, yes, you will always hear, get to know your rights and, what are your rights, but it's more important to get to know their rights as well. Okay, and just
the rights of the in-laws.
Exactly. So just like, strictly sticking to mother-in-law, just like you're a lady, she's also a lady. Okay. The other thing is, your in-laws might have more rights than you think. Okay. If we're talking about a family where everybody is a Muslim, then we're talking about, number one, they're human beings. They have rights. Number two, they are elders. They have rights in terms of respect and, obedience and all that. Number three, they are Muslims. Even if they're not Muslims, they still have rights.
They still have rights.
Yeah. Number four, they're relatives.
Yes.
Number five, most probably they're your neighbors. Okay. And we know how, what kind of strong ahadith we have about taking care of the neighbor.
Yes.
A neighbor is a very big umbrella. A lot of things come under it. You just can't say, oh, the guy living next to me. That's just one part of it. Okay. So if we change our view, then it will become easier for us to get close to them and interact with them. So share food with them, once in a while, share your thoughts with them, hear their stories.
Yes.
Okay, let them repeat the best parts of their lives with you and share those memories. And, by the way, for all these things, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a reward. This is not just, oh, I have to do it so my husband would be happy, or I have to, smile at them so my wife would be happy at me. This is above and beyond that. So if we have that mindset and we know these things, only then we can put them in practice. Okay. The other one is get to know the homemaker who preceded you. Okay. Like we mentioned, she is his mother. She cooked for him, cleaned for him, spent sleepless nights when he had fever or something worse.
Yes.
And so get close to them. So as an example, if your husband prefers or likes her cooking because he's used to it, why not learn that cooking from her? She would love to show you how cooking is done.
Yes.
Okay. Or even, career advice if she happened to be in the same field as well. And the other thing is consider their age. Like we said, as all of us, as we start to grow old, we will not be as reasonable and as intellectual.
And the struggle is there even with our own parents.
Exactly.
Muhammad.
Exactly.
It's not only with the in-laws, with our own parents we witness this as well.
Exactly. So don't be defensive if they give you an advice or they tell you, no, I have more experience and
I know better than you.
I know better than you. You should do like this. So take it with a smile. I mean, maybe.
Well, the way to put it, Muhammad, is that our parents or our in-laws are not politicians. So they will not put it in the sweetest way that you would expect.
Yeah.
They would put it bluntly as they used to.
Exactly.
Yeah. So don't expect it to come on a golden plate.
Yeah, it's not going to be sugar coated. So I mean, don't be reactive, don't be defensive, don't take it personally. Okay. Look at their advice with an open heart and an open mind. Maybe there's a lot of good in it. Maybe there is stuff you can implement and it will enhance you.
Yes.
It will further, it'll be like self-development. Okay. So the thing is, you're not obliged to follow, whatever they're saying. But it would be nice that you at least listen to them in the best way possible. Okay.
I think also we need to give a piece of advice, Muhammad, to the sisters who are really protective towards their husbands, and they want their husbands for themselves. That, no, I don't want you to go to your parents' house. I don't want you to go to their gatherings,
Or even spend time with your friends.
Yeah, just you are mine. And she works gradually until she isolates the man, and he doesn't see his brothers, he doesn't see his sisters, he doesn't visit his parents. All his wealth goes to the wife and the children, and nothing goes to the parents, which is very bad. And the other issue, Muhammad, which is there, is the conflict that happens between the wife and your sisters.
Yeah.
which is something relatively new. It used to be the wife and the mother-in-law, but now it has progressed into the wife and your sisters.
It was not new, it was hidden. You didn't know about it.
It was hidden, and that now has become even more problematic than the issues between the wife and the mother-in-law. And maybe we should have a special topic for that.
Yeah, I know. Hatim, I'll tell you something.
Yes.
Golden rule. Like you gave the brothers a golden rule a while ago. Yeah?
Yes.
Don't put two women under one roof. Think about it.
Two women means both of them are your wives, or a woman, your wife and your sister?
All scenarios.
All scenarios.
Two wives under one roof? No, you should have them in separate quarters, separate homes.
Yes.
Wife and mother? No. Wife and sister? No.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
again, I'm not saying all the time, but generally you will see this.
We
guys tend to get along more than ladies.
I came across Muhammad, two brothers who married two sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and they used to live in the same house. They ended up moving away from one another and not speaking to one another. The wives, who are sisters, blood sisters, they end up, not talking to one another. They had so much conflict in the household, as if they are not sisters.
And then it turns into a blackmail also.
Yeah.
Look what he did, what your brother did to you, So then that makes the equation more complicated. So since we're, getting close to the end, let's try to cover the other few points. The next one is, you are a garment for your husband as per Quran.
Yes.
Both of you for each other. But now we're addressing the sisters here. So do the same for his family by extension also. Garment gives you beauty, it hides your defects, it saves you and protects you from the external factors, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
So first of all, we should just not backbite or slander anybody. In this case, especially our in-laws. There is no honor in bad-mouthing or character assassinating
even if
someone.
they're bad.
Yeah, character assassinating someone who is much older than you, about whom it is mentioned that show mercy and respect to them.
Yes.
Okay. So, and by the way, telling others how they are is not going to fix them.
Yes.
If you have an issue,
you become the better equation out of
Exactly. Take the high moral ground, do sabr. We're not saying, keep on getting abused, but talk to your husband, when he's in a good mood, be wise. Bring his attention to this fact that, look, this is happening again and again and again. Can something be done about it, please? I trust you enough. That's why I came to you to seek help.
Yes.
Right? So start communication. The next one is complete the deen of your husband. Okay. You married him. All right. And marriage is called what? Half the deen.
Yes.
Okay. So don't ruin his deen by stopping him from going to his parents. If he calls his parents, you get angry. Don't make him pick between you or them.
And this is from both sides.
From both sides.
Yes.
From both sides. Don't make things hard for each other where they are forced to move away from their parents. They might smile at you because they don't have a choice, and they might do it. But in their heart that's not the case.
I would like to also remind the brothers that although your parents have a higher status religiously, you don't have to remind this your wife every time.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell her that, you're number two.
Yeah.
And
my parents come
first in this. Okay, she already knows that information. So you don't need to repeat it. You don't need to emphasize on it because it hurts, and you have to be very sensitive to her feelings.
Yeah. And see, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he told women that your husband is your hell or your paradise. Meaning how you behave with him will most probably determine your end result. So dealing with him also means how you deal with his mother and father also. Just imagine if you're always against them, either by making faces or by refusing to meet them, or by talking good about them, or stopping each other from meeting, how you can be good to your husband.
Yes.
And final word, I would say, again to the sisters, that granted you're married to, well, this is to both of them. I stand corrected, okay?
Yes. Muhammad, you'll be stabbed.
Yeah, no.
Okay, go ahead.
I want to do the rest of the shows also.
All right,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And I want to walk in this town without security. No, what I'm saying is that, granted you are married to your spouse, so not to his or her parents. However, they are what made your spouse what he or she is today.
Yes.
Okay, they are your children's grandparents. So you need their supplication, because one day you will be in their shoes. So keep that in mind, and let's hope and pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all our affairs straight.
Okay, my final word to all of you out there in the streets listening to the show today. Eid is coming on the way. For the brothers and the sisters, go and buy gifts for your in-laws. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.